Okay, we're back. We're live. We're ThinkTech Hawaii doing a ThinkTech Talks here on Friday afternoon. We're calling it the next best thing. Let me say that again, next best thing. And we're calling this, yes, it is rocket science. Because we have rocket science right here in Hawaii. With Phuong Nguyen, and he is a senior at Damien High School. And he joins us today, and his family is in the gallery there taking pictures. They're there, I see them. Behind the dark, in the dark behind the lights. Say hello to your family.
Oh, hi.
Thanks for coming down, Phuong.
Oh, it's no problem.
And so, I want to sort of use this show as a way to explain to people how rockets are built, that we have people in our high schools who are building rockets, what it means to build a rocket, how you start from scratch to build a rocket, and what the value is of building a rocket here in Hawaii. It's an object lesson, I guess. So first of all, tell us about your career at Damien. Was it in science, Phuong?
Yes, I would have to say so. Most of my studies, I try to dedicate towards the science, as well as mathematics, but then Damien incorporates other subjects as well to your education, such as English, foreign language, and also religion.
Oh, okay. So in the science department, what kind of courses did you take to make you what you are today? That is a budding rocket scientist.
Right. I took a variety of science courses at Damien, stemming from biology to chemistry, physics, and as well as anatomy.
Okay, well that could be medicine, couldn't it?
Yeah.
So what made you a science person? Did you wake up one morning, or did a little bird that sounded like your dad and mom come to you and say, you should get into science?
Well, I have to owe it all to my middle school.
Which school was that?
Our Lady of Good Counsel School.
Okay.
Right, and teachers from my middle school, Mrs. Suda, to teachers, my math teachers like Mrs. Bautista, they all encouraged me to question the world around me. And it's that curiosity that really got to me, and that's why I pursued science. It's the one subject where I'm allowed to use reasoning and logic to actually discover the truth about our universe.
Yeah, because the rest of it may not be so logical. That's the thing about science.
Right.
You got certain rules, those are the rules that apply. This is except in astrophysics, and in that case you don't know. But we had a very interesting event a couple of weeks ago at the Institute for Astronomy.
Right.
Involving, were you there? Alex Filipenko out of Berkeley.
No, I don't think so.
And he talked about the multiverse, which is a short for multiple universe. We're making a movie about this, and he said that, in the alternative universes out there, the rules of physics may be different. And well, that is a mind blower to think that all you know about physics and chemistry, for that matter, which is physics kind of,
Right.
May not be the same out there in other universes. Anyway, so I mean, they say that a few inspired teachers, even one, can change your whole life.
Right.
You believe that? Then
Yeah,
you've had that experience.
Yes.
So shout out. Who are the ones who changed your life?
There are many teachers that kind of changed my entire life, I guess, my entire perspective. I have to say, from my middle school, Mrs. Suda, Miss Bautista, Miss Amano, as well as my high school teachers, Mr. Marginal, Mrs. Sigmund, Mrs. Engajo, and my English teacher, Mr. Higa.
Great. Okay, it wasn't just one then, it was many.
Yeah, there were many.
You're lucky, to have a schooling where you have many teachers who changed your life. That's terrific, You look back on it, it'll be terrific. Now, did they say to you, Phuong, that, Phuong, you're a kind of guy, you're a logical guy, you're an inquiring guy, you're an out of the box kind of guy, therefore you should go into science? Did they say they thought you ought to do science because you were good at it, or did they say you ought to do science for some other reason?
I have to say I do science just purely because of my own interest in that field. I mean, I really like to experience everything around me. I would like to question everything, not to accept things the way they are, to always question why they are the way they are.
Okay, so We're going to talk in some detail about your rocketry experience, but before that, or maybe at the same time, have you been involved in other science competitions and science projects? For example, the state science fair, that sort of thing, through your school career?
Yes. During my ninth grade year, I participated in the science fair with my teacher, Mrs. Engajo. I did experiment based on if music can actually affect how plants grow. And in the 10th grade, I participated in the Science Olympiad, which is a competition about all these sciences combined, and students will be able to participate in a science event and compete with other schools as well in that event.
Mm-hmm. Let me roll it back to the plants part. What was your hypothesis in that entry in your project there for the science? Did you hypothesize that music really did help plants grow?
Yes.
And did you find that music does help?
Yeah, it really
plants grow?
did make a difference in
Really?
plant growth.
Noticeable?
Yes.
Provable, demonstrable?
Yeah.
Demonstrable. And how did you demonstrate that?
Well, basically, I set up 3 pots of plants. I used marigolds because they were easy to grow. And so for each pot of plant, I would have 1 pot of plant without music as a control. And the other 2, I would give them classical music and the other rock music. Mm-hmm. And from my results, I seen that the plant that was exposed to the rock music, its growth was considerably less than that of plants that grew without music. And
how about the classical music?
The classical music, it kind of stimulated plant growth from what I've seen.
Isn't that interesting? You know, I just heard something on the way in today on Hawaii Public Radio for the proposition, the interesting proposition that back in the 17th and the 18th centuries, where a lot of classical music at least got its start. I mean, classical music as we know it today, there were only a few people whose taste, sort of shaped the body of work, right. And they were royalty. And, it wasn't like the entire population made that choice, the way maybe you'd see today. The audience will applaud or hiss or boo. But in those days, there was a king, and he said, I like that. We'll do more of that. Or he would fund it, and therefore he would, Chopin would do better because he got funded by some royalty. And so it was not necessarily a broad-based choice, a broad-based taste that created classical music as we know it. It was just in the hands of a relatively few people. So how do you come to terms with that? Why is it that classical music, shaped by a relatively few number of people, does better with the plants than rock and roll, which is shaped by the masses?
I would have, from what I've inferred, it was probably because classical music, it wasn't as loud or abrasive sounding as compared to rock music. Mm-hmm. Rock music, to me, I chose the most cacophonous rock music there is, and so there were a lot of vibrations and
disturbances.
Yeah, disturbances, and so that kind of inhibited plant growth.
Interesting. There was a conductor here in Honolulu for many years. He was a beloved conductor by the name of Samuel Wong. He was a physician.
Right.
And when he left, he returned to his roots in New York, is where he, had conducted before, and I think that's where he studied. And what did he do? He changed his career to see whether music could be therapeutic for people who were ill. And he proved, I don't know if he proved it with the same standards as the science fair, probably not. But he did prove, at least to his own satisfaction, that music does help people in general. And so it's more than music. I mean, music is more than music. Music is therapeutic. If it can help people who are not well, it can help people who are well.
Right.
So you really have something there. And so you learned for sure, to your own, at least your own satisfaction, that music helps plants grow.
Yeah.
So if I start a hydroponics farm or an aeroponics farm here in Honolulu, a lot of people think we should do that. I should definitely bring in music, and I should use classical music.
Right.
And what kind of classical music exactly did you find was the best?
I think artists such as, or composers like Beethoven and Mozart.
What about Chopin?
No, you should.
Okay, but you could try.
Right.
You
yeah.
could actually do this experiment again, couldn't you?
Yeah.
You could try a number of classical musicians and see which one works best. And then we could use it on the hydroponics farm. Wouldn't that be something?
Yeah.
Okay, so somewhere along the line, I guess it was at Damien, you decided you were going to go into the rocket competition. This is a choice that probably you made with advice from others. How did this choice get made?
Well, I was in AP Physics, and so were
That's
a bunch
advanced placement?
yeah.
Okay.
And so were a bunch of my other classmates. And for this course, our teacher required us that we had to participate in the Team America Rocketry Challenge because it was part of our course and how it kind of incorporate the concepts that we were being taught in AP Physics.
Physics. Another one of those teachers then.
Yeah.
Changed your life. Yeah. Now you said something about Balducci.
I'm sorry?
What's the name of the competition?
Team America Rocketry Challenge?
Oh, okay. There was no name of a person in there.
No.
Okay. So I'm wondering where you start on something like that. So now you sign up for the Rocketry Challenge, and you obviously have to make a rocket.
Right.
Where do you start? If I woke up one morning, and I might do this because I'm like you, I'm looking for logic in all the wrong places, but I'm looking. If I wake up one morning and decide I want to make a rocket, where do I begin?
Well, to start, we would have to order from a rocketry company that sells rocket parts. For example, the chutes and the main body tubes, where we had to place the eggs, and not to mention the nose cone. And so those we had to order, but the things that we actually had to make were the fins itself. And so we had to measure out or create a fin template so that we can actually make the fins out of.
Okay, so it's a nose cone. You had to buy the nose cone. You had to buy the rocket engine.
Right, the rocket engine as well.
Okay, and the fuselage, did you say?
I think that was included in the rocket engine.
Okay, so the rocket engine really is the fuselage.
Yes.
Yeah. And you had to buy the nose cone, but you should make the fins.
Yes.
Okay, what about the fuel? You buy special fuel for the rocket.
No, it was actually the fuel was the actual engine itself. It was in the cartridge.
Okay, it comes with the.
Yeah.
Okay, so actually most of this you buy. You go online, I guess, and.
Right.
So let's see, you buy nose cone, rocket engine, intercontinental ballistic missile. No, I'm kidding. But I mean, it's kind of interesting. You can now. Is this something like sort of like robotics, where there's an industry dedicated to kids who are in the Rocketry Challenge, and these websites, these retailers sell this kind of stuff so that people in the Rocketry Challenge can make rockets.
Right. There are a bunch of industries that kind of helped kids actually fulfill their needs for the rocketry club. They sell rocket parts as well as maybe full rockets for recreational purposes as well.
Now, so really, so far, the only thing that you had to do, correct me, is you had to design the fins. Now, fins are important because there's the aerodynamics, of course, but that's all you had to do?
Well, we had to design the entire rocket. We had to determine which nose cone to use because there were a bunch of nose cones.
Okay.
And as well as the design of fins, and I guess we have to measure out the length of the rocket itself.
Okay, and how did you make these choices?
Well, first off, we download this program, this rocketry program, onto one of our classmates' computer, and we did test simulations on that application.
The program does the simulations?
Right.
That's interesting, with the aerodynamics and all that, all the physical forces involved. And
Yeah.
so it tells you how the rocket flight will will go
Yeah, they
based on
estimate.
this combination of elements. Yeah.
Right.
That's really interesting. And so you look for an optimal result.
Right.
And what is that? The longest flight,
Well, I guess, yeah.
highest flight?
Well, for the Team American Rocketry Challenge, we have to reach an altitude of 825 feet and land in an interval of 48 to 50 seconds. So it was a combination of both, I guess.
What's the landing in an interval of how many seconds?
48 to 50 seconds.
Okay, and that means you have to go fast.
I guess that's kind of relative to an observer.
Okay. And how do you know that a rocket reaches 825 feet? I mean, how do you know that's up to you have some sort of altimeter on it?
Yes. In our rocket, we equipped an altimeter in it so that we could precisely know our altitude.
And that does that send the information back to you, or you have to go recover the rocket and see what it read?
Right. We have to recover the rocket and actually take out the altimeter and listen to the number of beeps that it gives, which will give us the altitude.
Okay. Also, it doesn't have a digital readout so much as
no.
it beeps by the number of hundreds of feet or
Right.
whatever over the. Okay. So, is this altimeter thing? Do you buy this too in the website?
Yes, it also comes in the website.
What is the name of the website so people will know? If you remember.
It's been a long time. So.
But if I went Google on this, I could find it.
Right. Yeah.
In fact, I could find a number of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So now I've used the simulation software with various designs and weights, I guess. And I put all my and I've sort of tested it on a number of configurations, and I find that one configuration is sure to get me to 825 feet and whatever that interval of time was. And so now I know what I'm going to build, right? That's
Right.
what happens. And I mean, how do you know that you're ahead of the next guy? They're all out there. They can all get on this website. They can all use this software. Where does the special talent come for you to have a better rocket than anyone else?
I guess it really boils down to the determination, I guess, because like everyone may use the software and this program, but what really separates us from the other teams was that we had a different environment. We were in a different environment than them. The temperature and the speed of the wind was different, and so we had to
here.
here.
The whole thing happened here, is that
Right.
Okay.
And so we had to compensate for those factors.
Okay. So you have to build in all kinds of local factors, or at least expectations for
Right.
local factors. And then you have to build that into your calculation under the simulation
Right,
software? Okay, so really a lot of this is what you put in that software, is the information and assumptions you make in the software.
Yeah.
And you have to try it on a interactive basis. I mean, it's a trial and error methodology.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we'll take a short break. I have to wrap my head around all this. We'll come back in a minute. That's Phuong Nguyen. He's a senior at Damien. He's a rocketry person. He was in the Rocketry Challenge, and they came 19th out of how many?
101.
101. Pretty good. The first 20% anyway. And this is the next best thing. We're talking about rockets in Hawaii. And the title of our episode is, yes, it is rocket science. I'm Jay Fidell. We'll be right back.
Aloha, my name is Willow Chang Elion, and I host a show called The Art of Life. We air live every Friday from 2 to 3 p.m. And what we do is basically we focus on individuals who create a unique sense of place for Hawaii. These are movers and shakers, artists, innovators. They are also traditionalists. They're all involved in the archival process, and they make this place a unique place, one that makes Hawaii a richer place to be. I hope you do join us, and certainly tell your friends about the show, whether they live here or they live abroad. It's a way to give back to our community. We're keeping it.
Okay, we're back. We're live. We're ThinkTech Talks. We're talking about the next best thing about rocket science in Hawaii. Yes, it is rocket science with Phuong Nguyen, and he's a senior at Damien. He's graduating. Graduated.
Yes.
Graduated. All right, that feels good.
Yeah, it does.
Whew, good. Okay, so now we have determined the optimal configuration as determined with the help of a simulator, and then we've got the elements we want. We order them, we get them, and we have to fabricate the rocket. So what's it like to I mean, there must be a certain artwork in this now. What's it like to fabricate the rocket that you have designed?
Well, it was really time consuming. I mean, we had to stay back after school many times a week just to get the design right, as well as finishing the final products of our rocket.
Okay, so what did you have to do in all that time? It doesn't sound that complicated. Tell me what's complicated about it.
Well, we had to, I guess, the fins, we had to polish it, we had to sand
You
it
had to
down.
cut them.
Yeah.
First you had to design them, right? Because this doesn't come in a kit. This is you actually have to design aerodynamically efficient fins.
Right.
How do you find the right aerodynamically efficient fin design?
Well, it really was our teacher, Mr. Hudson, who had a lot of rocketry experience, and he gave us a template of what he thought was the ideal fin for this rocket. And so we took the template and we traced it out on a wooden sheet, and we had to cut it out, and then we had to do it on plywood this time, cut that out, and then we had to I guess glue the fins together and then sand it down till they were the exact shape as the other fins.
He gave you a template which was actually a fin or a design of a fin?
A design of a fin.
So on some kind of software.
He actually traced it down onto a manila folder.
Really?
Yeah.
And you had to make it perfect, though.
Yeah.
That was just sort of a rough idea.
Yeah, it was.
Okay. And what was unusual? What was unique about the design that he traced out?
I guess it was the first set of fins that we used. They were really rhombus shaped, I guess, trapezoidal shape, and that was the first set of fins for our first rocket, which sadly got obliterated.
Okay. I guess that brings another question. There's a few questions arise out of this so far, and that is, you kept saying we. Who's we? You have a team.
Yes.
How many people on the team?
8.
8.
Yes.
That's a lot of people. And did you allocate and diversify the labor? I mean, did everybody have a different job? Or were you all working on everything?
We had different jobs.
What was your job?
I was the group leader, so I had to tell everyone this should be done, then next week this should be done, stuff like that.
That's the manager.
Right.
Okay, that's pretty good. The other thing that occurs to me listening to you is that this is an iterative process. So you shoot one up, doesn't work so well. Now you want to shoot another up. You may have to get new parts. You may have to go back and reorder some of those elements that you ordered. You may have to build more than one rocket here. Did that happen?
Yes, that happened.
How many times?
I'd say 2 times.
3 times?
2 times.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that costs money.
Yeah.
Who pays for the money?
I think it came from the school fund.
Oh, good.
Right.
Good. Your poor family, they didn't have to actually.
No.
Okay, that's nice. That's fair. Okay, so now going back to the fins. So you get this thing on a manila folder, and you need software to make the design perfect, right? What software was that?
I actually don't remember the exact
But
name.
it was a design software.
Right, it was the
design of an object,
Right.
manufacturing type software. Okay, and finally it gave you a 3-dimensional picture of a fin, I guess. Did you use, laser technology, robotics type technology to create the original design, the original model of the fin, or did you do it by hand?
We actually did it by hand.
Oh.
Yeah.
So is there an advantage in that? I guess it's more love and affection, but is there an advantage scientifically in doing it by hand?
I don't think so, but it's more like hands-on, I guess. You actually get more out of it. Like you actually get to experience the joy, I guess, of creating your own, of creating the fin.
I mean, it seems to me that if you want the rocket to work right, the two fins altogether?
Three.
Three. They all have to be identical.
Yes.
How, if you work by hand, how can you be sure they're identical?
Well, it was kind of more like a rough estimate. Like
Okay.
we would just eyeball it and see.
They
like,
don't have to be absolutely
Yeah.
identical. Okay. What material did you use?
We use plywood and this other piece of wood that I'm not too sure it was called, but it was really expensive.
Not balsa, nothing particularly light or anything.
We tried to go light,
Yeah, but
well, we did go light. I
Yeah.
guess for the second rocket, we
Yeah.
used balsa wood and the expensive sheet of wood.
on top,
Yeah.
like a veneer.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this is really interesting, and you had to actually build multiple layers of material into the fin. Yeah.
Right.
Not so easy. How did you fabricate the pieces together? Use glue,
Yes, we did. Wood glue, to be specific.
wood glue, and then you had to sand it at the
Yeah.
end. And did you use some sort of final coating or covering on the after you sanded it down to the right shape?
No, I don't think so.
So it was raw.
Yeah.
You don't care. It doesn't. It's functionality that cares. Okay. And so, how big are these rockets anyway? Phuong?
It really depends. Like at the challenge itself in Virginia, like there were some rockets that were considerably small, while there are others that were, I guess, bigger.
And yours? How big was yours?
I would have to say 4 feet, I guess.
That's pretty big. But was that on the smaller side in this competition, or was it on the larger side?
It was, I guess, the average size.
Okay. And you selected that size because you were designing this anyway. You selected 4 feet, and you selected that because why? Because it was the most conventional size in the competition. Did anyone tell you that you better do 4 feet? Did you
No.
decide you better do 4 feet?
I think we decided to do 4 feet. Well, 3 to 4 feet.
Yeah. Okay. How big were the fins?
I'd say they were 5-6 inches.
And so the three of them are connected to the rocket engine fuselage
Yeah.
apparatus. How did you connect them? Was that glue also, or was that bolted in?
It was glue. Glue.
Okay. How could you be sure they'd stay on? A lot of G's involved, no? Did you calculate the amount of G's that were going to be applied to these poor 3 fins out of balsa and veneer wood?
No. We were pretty confident that wood glue would actually do the job.
And did it?
Yeah, it did.
Okay. All right, we covered the fins. Now, I'm just a naive person about this, but I get the nose cone is at the front, and that's important for aerodynamics, I guess. That's
Right.
why you have to get the right kind. And behind that is the rocket engine, and the rocket engine is really the rest of the rocket, yeah? And then the fins are sort of in the lower third of that.
Right.
So what else did you have to do?
Well, we have to decide what kind of chutes we have to.
Shoot parachutes.
Yes, the parachutes.
Because you don't want to lose it every time. It is so tacky to lose it every time and have to
Right.
rebuild it every time. So what kind of decision did you make?
We decided to use at first we used the cloth-like chutes, but then the rocket came down too fast, and so we decided to go lighter instead.
Okay, what kind of material is that now?
I think it was like this. I can't describe it. It was
It's very light, though.
right.
And how did it get deployed? Was there a mechanism inside where altitude would deploy it, or you could deploy it by radio? How did it get open?
I guess the engine inside the engine itself, there was a substance, I guess, that when the rocket reached its maximum altitude, the substance would combust, and from that combustion, the thrust will propel the 2 chutes containing the rocket to, detach.
Oh, okay. So it's actually a second rocket in the sense that the substance would ignite,
Right.
and it would push the chute out.
Right.
And the chute is in the nose cone,
The chutes were in the main body too.
main body. But what happens is the chute deploys so that the rocket comes down in its original configuration, its original direction, right? as the rocket comes down, it doesn't come down head first. It comes down sail first, right?
Well, the rocket itself, it would detach into two parts: the the lower body part and the upper body part.
Okay.
And so we will have two chutes for that: a chute for the lower body tube and the chute for the upper body.
So it comes down horizontal?
It actually comes down in two parts.
Two pieces?
Yeah, two pieces.
In other words, it separates.
Yeah, it
separates.
separates.
When the chutes are deployed, the rocket separates.
Yes, it does.
With another ignition of some kind. I mean, it sort of blows the two parts aside.
Yes. And it comes down connected with the two chutes.
Right, but not the two parts are not connected to each other.
Not anymore.
Separate.
After they separate.
Why do you do that? I mean, why would you do two parts?
Well, it was part of the guideline for the Team America Rocketry Challenge.
Okay, why do they do that?
I'm not too entirely sure, but yeah.
I mean, it strikes me that if you have it come down in two parts, one is you can use smaller chutes. Another possibility is to come down in two parts, and the chute fails. At least you have the other part where the chute succeeded. And the third is they just wanted to make you work harder.
Right.
Okay, so I mean, you snap the pieces together. You put this device, which I guess you got on the same website, with the chutes and the deployment device. You put it all together. Where else did you have to work and think?
I guess I think that's really it. I mean, there were the fins. I guess we also have to take into account the eggs itself, because our rocket had to safely carry 2 eggs.
Eggs?
Yes. Or
You mean like chicken eggs?
Yeah, chicken eggs.
Okay. Where do you get the chicken eggs? Does that come on that website?
Oh no, we could buy at your local store.
Eggs.
Yeah.
So you want to get the eggs with the really thick shells, so it doesn't break so
Right.
easily. And the idea is to get the thing down without breaking the eggs, right?
Yeah.
That's cute. Okay, so you put where do the eggs go?
We designed the rocket so that one of the eggs would go into the upper body tube and one in the nose cone.
Oh, I was going to suggest that you could put them in one and then put a bigger parachute on that one. But I guess they got you wired on that one.
Yeah.
1 egg in each one of the sections. Okay, that works. Okay, now we have the rocket is all set up. It's 4 feet high. It's got 3 fins that you made. It's got a nose cone that's aerodynamic. It's got a rocket engine and fuselage, and somewhere in there is a brake point which separates when it hits when it starts turning down, I guess. When instead of going up, it loses momentum, starts turning over the side. I guess this is what happens, yeah?
Yeah.
And that device goes off, separates the 2 parts, and then and deploys the chutes, and it comes down relatively gradually, without breaking it.
Right.
And then you go retrieve it, and hopefully you find the 2 eggs are intact.
Yeah.
What about using hard-boiled eggs? Did anybody try that?
Oh, well, that was against the rules. So.
Okay, they're ahead of us.
Yeah.
How do you actually? Well, you got to take another break. I'm sorry. Okay, we're gonna take one more break.
Sure.
All right. That's Phuong Nguyen. He's a senior at Damien. Here we are at ThinkTech Talks on the next best thing on Friday afternoon. And the title of our show is Yes, It Is Rocket Science, right here in Hawaii. I'm Jay Fidell. We'll be right back.
Hello, I'm Martin Despang, and I'm the host together with the one and only Ali Amashta, and our show is called Urban Transcendence. And Urban Transcendence is about identifying where we have a unique situation of a vibrant city in one of the most beautiful natural environments. So how these two can coincide, sometimes conflict, how they could find reciprocity in the 21st century is what we're excited about. And we're planning on bringing in a diverse body of guests, both from the arts and the science and the established and the wise and the emerging generation. So hope you will join us. We'll always be on Thursdays from 1 to 2 p.m.
Okay, we're back. We're live. We're here on the next best thing on Friday afternoon on ThinkTech Talks. We're talking about rocket science. Yes, it is rocket science here in Hawaii. With Phuong Nguyen, who is a senior in Damien, who did a rocketry challenge. So here we are, and you fabricated the thing, you've designed it, fabricated it, you've tested it, undoubtedly you've tested it a number of times. You went through a couple of examples of that. You're ready to fire it, I guess, in competition. What is it like to fire a rocket? How do you do it? Do you go there with a match? What?
Oh, no, actually, we have to take our rocket to the Kaneohe Marine Base because that's the only place where we can actually launch it at because of the open space. And so we would bring the rocket launch pad with us. And we...
Oh, what is that like? I don't have one myself. I'd like to get one. How big is it? What is it made of?
I think it's made out of metal, and there's a metal rod so that we could actually place the rocket onto it. And so we would place the rocket onto the rocket launch pad, and then we would attach these cords to the engine of the rocket, because we have the rocket itself. It's I guess it's launched through electrical means. Like,
So you send a charge through
Yeah, we
this
do.
wire into the. You have to use dry ice on the outside, like they do at Cape Canaveral,
no, I don't think so.
Cape Kennedy, whatever it is. Okay, so you get a little wire,
Right.
but the wire has to separate at the moment of ignition. So how does it come out?
Well, it doesn't. Well, I guess it kind of separates by itself through the initial thrust of the rocket.
Oh, it just pulls out.
Yeah, it
it's
just
not
pulls
in
out.
not in there real tight or
Yeah.
anything, because you don't want it, changing the inflection of the rocket. And how do you send the charge? Is one of those plunges like when they fire off a dynamite charge? All the Western movies, like that. How does that
Not
work?
necessarily. It's more like I guess, a button. It's
Button.
like, yeah,
Okay, about that big.
yes,
Yeah, okay, and a little battery, little tiny battery.
Yes.
And how far away do you have to be so you don't get your nose burned?
we have to stand back a considerable amount.
What is that, 50 feet more?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so now you've sent the charge, and you're holding your breath because it doesn't always ignite, does it?
Yeah, it doesn't.
Okay, what happens if it doesn't ignite?
Well, if it doesn't ignite, then you would just hear like a large puffing sound, like,
Yeah.
and so that's like it didn't really launch. I guess the rocket itself didn't really launch, and so we have to stay back for a few while just in case it won't misfire or it might launch again on accident.
It's like a gun. If you hear a dud go off in
Right.
a gun, you don't want to take the shell out right away because it may go off later.
Yeah.
And then you get hurt. So in this case too, you have to give it a little time, right? So how much time do you give it?
Well, once we set up a rocket, then we'll do a continuity check, meaning to see if the electrical charges are actually going to the rocket engine itself.
You can test that.
Yes.
Through that same wire.
Yes.
You're just sort of seeing if it's connected.
Right.
Okay.
And so once the continuity check, I guess once that's done, then we can actually do the launch itself. We have to count down the...
How far do you start? You start counting at 10, 20, 30, 50, what?
we counted down at 5 seconds.
5, just 5?
Yeah.
Boy, you better be quick. Yeah. Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, bang.
Yeah.
And it's off. Okay. And what happens, looking at it, I wish we had a picture. What does it look like when the rocket goes off? This 4-foot rocket, this is a major piece of gear. This is as tall as a 4-foot person. Exactly. Is it a lot of noise and smoke? Is it a blue flame, a yellow flame, an orange flame? What is it?
Well, it did make a really loud noise for the initial launch.
Mm-hmm. Did you
And-
see the smoke come out of the?
Yes, we did.
Exciting. And then what happens? Now you see pictures of rockets like at Cape Kennedy, and it's like it sits there for a minute. It doesn't go anywhere. It has to sort of build up some momentum, I guess, some sort of a base of energy under it, base of lift, and then it goes. Is that what happens with your rocket too? Or is it quicker on a small rocket?
was quicker.
Yeah. Okay. And then it's off and gone, and
Yep.
you're able to advance on the launching pad at that time.
Yes.
You don't have to stay back to 50 feet. You can come in on it and look straight up.
Yeah.
Okay. And it goes straight up too, doesn't it? I mean, it doesn't go off in an arc.
No, it really depends on the wind itself,
Mm-hmm.
because the wind can actually make the rocket deviate from its initial position.
Right. But I suppose if it goes straight up, it's more efficient. It's going to reach the 825
Yeah.
feet, spending less energy, and that's what you want. That you
Yes.
don't want the great circle route. Okay, and then to get to 825 feet, how long does it take?
Well, we had several attempts, 9 attempts to be exact, for it to actually get around 825 feet.
In seconds, how long does it take to get up that high?
Well, the Team America Rocketry Challenge, they want us to from launch to from the time it lands on the ground, it has to be in the interval of 48 to 50 seconds. And so we had to really change or take into account all these components for our rocket.
So you're disqualified if it doesn't get up there fast enough.
Not necessarily, because for every feet you're off from the given altitude, it's a point.
It's just a
added.
rating system.
Yeah, it's a rating system.
All right. Okay, so here you are on the field in Virginia. Where was it in Virginia? Wait, I'm going to tell you where it is. Oh, Virginia, that's all I know. The Team America Rocketry Challenge in Virginia,
Right.
just a few weeks ago.
Yes.
You just got back. Wow. And so it's a big field. Is it on one of the military bases? Or what?
No.
And 100 and some odd entries are there, all at the same time.
Right.
And they all have their little,
They have their own rocket.
their own area, and they have their own rocket. And the judge comes over to you and says, Phuong, did you set this off, please? I'm going to be watching.
Yes.
Right?
They were really, strict about all the rockets and the components of our rockets itself. They actually have to see us prepare the rocket. They have to check our engine to see if we made the engine or not. Because if we did, then that would be an automatic disqualification.
If you made the engine?
Yeah, if it's a handmade engine, then you can be disqualified.
Why would that be? Wouldn't that be a sign of greater proficiency if you made your own engine?
Well, the NAR, they kind of pride themselves in being for their safety records, and so they don't want high schoolers to make their own rocket engine.
Because they tend to blow up.
Yeah.
And people get hurt by the shrapnel.
Yes.
But, okay, got it. All right, so he comes around. All 8 of you are out there in the field. He says, gentlemen, ignite your rocket, or something like that, right?
Well, when we were on the fields, we had to place our rocket again on the launch pad, and then they gave us this, this board that has a number on it. And whenever we felt we were ready for our rocket to be launched, we just hold up the number, and then they'll be like, okay, that team's ready to launch, and then they'll do a countdown from there, and then off
What
it goes.
fun. Now, did you know you scored so high at the moment of the shoot? Or do you only find that out later at the awards dinner or something?
Oh no, because I guess once we launched our rocket, we would go retrieve our rocket, and when we would find the altitude of it, we have to report it back to the tent, I guess, that does the calculations on our score, and they would tell us our score, and from that, we would, I guess, ask the other teams how well they did or what their score was, and kind of infer from there.
Okay, and then they calculate everything and
Right.
rank all the competitors. And the competitors were just from this country, or were they from, Europe, Asia, whatnot?
There were a bunch of I guess, mostly from the United States and other islands as well, like the Virgin Islands.
So what's your impression of the whole affair? I mean, did you like making the rocket? Was it what you wanted in terms of, science and thinking out of the box? Was it a good experience, and was the competition a good experience?
I guess it was a good experience. I mean, everything was very hands-on. We got to make our own rocket. We get to experience how it does and everything. And I think that's really ideal for science.
Yeah.
Like the basic subject of it, the idea of hands-on activity.
Yeah, sounds great, actually. Sounds like a lot of people would like to do that, and they're not in high school either,
Yeah.
as a hobby. I recall reading about a loft in Brooklyn where all these guys who worked in Wall Street would meet every day after work, and in this loft in Brooklyn, which they all chipped in for, they had all these physics experiments because they still wanted to go back to school and learn about science, even though their careers had nothing to do with science. So where's the rocket right now, Phuong? Where is the rocket?
I think it's still in our physics teacher's classroom.
He keeps it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
All right, I'm going to take, I guess I'll take one last break, come right back, and then we'll talk about your career plans, because we need to know about that. Okay? This is Phuong Nguyen. He's a senior at Damien. And the next best thing about rocket science will be right back after this short and final break. I'm Jay Fidell. That's Sharon Moriwaki of the Hawaii Energy Policy Forum. And every Wednesday we have Hawaii, the State of Clean Energy. We've been doing it for some time now, and we have some fantastic guests on there, unbelievable guests who give us insight into what is going on in a very complex, sometimes very confusing, sometimes very disappointing area of progress in the state. So we love doing this. We love meeting them. We love talking to them. We love having their ideas out on the table. So maybe, just maybe, we can all make some sense of what's going on. Sharon, what do you think?
I think that's absolutely correct. We enjoy ourselves meeting with all these people and hearing about the energy and the state of clean energy, and hopefully we advance clean energy for the state. So it's terrific. Join us. Come
Okay,
join
it's
us.
every Wednesday. Okay, Wednesday is Energy Day. Every
Energy
Wednesday, 4 to 5 p.m. Hawaii, the State of Clean Energy, here on ThinkTech Hawaii.
Energy
We'll
Wednesday.
see. Okay, we're back. We're live for the final segment of the next best thing. Yes, it is rocket science with Phuong Nguyen, and he's a senior at Damien, and he just did very well, he and his team, in the rocketry competition in Virginia. At this point, I think we should talk about your career and choices you've made. You know, they say that sometimes you should leave plenty of room for you to choose other things and wrap around some life experience before you actually fix on a career. Other people say, decide, do it, you'll see what happens. Where are you? What are you considering? You're going to go to Carleton next year. Why did you make that choice? And you're teeter-tottering between biology and chemistry. What are your considerations there?
First of all, Carleton College, I feel like I'm really attracted to the school because of the rigorous academics that's being offered, as well as the overall atmosphere of Carleton, I guess. I'll be surrounded by students who are driven, energetic, dynamic, and intelligent, and above all else, quirky.
Quirky's good. Yeah. Okay, so you settled on that. But is it possible that you would wind up studying English literature instead of science?
It's possible at Carleton because Carleton is, again, in the top 10 of the liberal arts in the U.S., and so they kind of expose us to not only the sciences, but also the humanities and all the other subjects as well.
Yeah. Where is Carleton?
Carleton is in Northfield, Minnesota. So.
Yeah. Well, you know, I think English has a lot to be said for it. It's hard to choose that against science in the 21st century. But I was at Kohala High School, which is very rural, in North Kohala, the Big Island, last week, just a week ago today, and they were having this kind of reality test with Antigone. Did you study that?
No.
And written as a play by Sophocles, and I was really impressed with these kids doing Antigone. They were role-playing the characters. Anyway, it has benefits to it. But here, the final question, and I'd like your thought about it. I mean, this is, you've done well. What's your grade point anyway?
4.28.
Not bad. And so, you're off to a new experience, only a few weeks away. Woohoo, exciting. Your family must be excited. They'll come and see you. You won't be lonely. And, great experience coming. So, you're going to come back?
I guess maybe or maybe not, because this Hawaii or Oahu is really attractive based on its, I guess, appearance-wise. but I'm kind of hesitant in coming back to Hawaii because of the, I guess, the job perspectives there.
Yeah, well, yeah, but not, yeah.
I think there are more opportunities.
Not a lot of
yeah.
rocketry going on here. Yeah. By the way, I mean, if you came back and decided to do a rocket in your backyard, could you do that, or would there be limits about sending a rocket up 800 feet?
I would say there would be probably limits because you have to take into account the actual. I guess the rocket might not end up where you want it to end up.
In your neighbor's yard.
Yeah.
And he's got a big, hole in his head or something, and he's really ticked off at you. Don't forget, we were selected. Hawaii and Alaska were selected as a grouping, a team in the development of drones, and we are out and about trying to get down that road to actually design and build drones here, test drones. I know it's not rocketry, but it is science for sure. And these are civilian drones, not necessarily military drones. But we may have a future in aeronautics here, more than we ever did before. It's possible. So while you're over there in Carlton, you might keep an eye on that.
Right.
See what's going on. Well, I think it's been great talking with you, Phuong. It's really a delight to talk to anybody from Damien and a student especially, and a successful student especially. I wish you well in your college training. I hope you keep thinking about Hawaii anyway. Just send money. Thank you very much for participating in our program. The Next Best Thing, yes, it is rocket science, with Phuong Nguyen, Damien Sr. just graduated. Aloha.
Thank you.